Hello, my name is Dr. Ingrid Mitchell, and this asynchronous session is titled Engaging Approaches to Meeting Post-Secondary Students Where They Are. This session was originally delivered synchronously on June 16, 2021 for summer professional development at Southwest Tennessee Community College. Let's begin. Are you looking for ways to motivate your students? Or are you worried that students are not engaged with the instruction face-to-face or online? The objectives for this session will be for us to define approaches that could engage your students, decide how to build engagement into the lesson layout process, and once we have done steps 1 and 2, we will certainly ascertain if certain engagement approaches would build your collegiate classroom community. Southwest Tennessee Community College offers so many career choices, but are you allowing for students to connect to the real world? That may mean using some anecdotal notes or personal experiences so students can truly dive into their profession based on your background and your experience as an instructor. What about some case studies to look at some things happening in the past or possible scenarios for the future? What about media approaches that are within the sciences or arts infused that require a product delivery as a part of the lesson task? This too is a part of an engagement strategy. Do you allow your students to connect to content through personal experiences? As stated, we offer business courses, legal, medical, and education. But within those fields, we have students who have personal interests such as blogging, YouTubing, or has artistic endeavors. So then therefore, learning what excites your students does more than just engage them. You'll build strong relationships, rapport, while empowering 21st century learning. What about tapping into students' learning styles? This is definitely an important piece to how students take in information during your course. So then therefore, for a physical learner, what about using chimes or double clap to indicate a change in content or flow in your lesson layout? For your logical student, it's important to always incorporate some type of thinking patterns or language patterns so that students can connect. For those students that are social learners, communication is key, and talking about what they're learning is a way for them to hear what they've learned. A solitary learner would benefit from a space in your classroom where they can sit off by themselves. But if you are online course, this would be beneficial for using breakout rooms for solo dolo time. Visual learners most definitely can benefit from pictures and images of what you are presenting, and oral learners definitely would appreciate some sounds and voices additional to your content that's being presented. And for your verbal learning, what about writing and role play where they can express what they've learned during your lesson layout? How often do you incorporate group work or collaboration? Well, during COVID, it's especially key for us to be most careful. However, collaborating with smaller in-person or breakout groups gives students a welcome break from those solo tasks if they prefer to be social butterflies. They'll benefit from one another's learning point of view and the opportunity to discuss what they've learned during the lesson. And as an instructor, it's key to listen into what they've learned so that you can address any misconceptions. Take this time to write down 3 questions or points that you have raised so far in this session, then briefly verbalize with those that are listening or participating with you asynchronously. Welcome back. Please take time to verbalize your wonderings or your points of interest from this session so far with those that are working with you asynchronously. Next approach, encourage students to present and share from all different areas within your course. Opportunities to share students' understanding and demonstrate acquired learning in front of their peers drives the engagement, but also is a separate assessment piece. It also promotes accountability and space for students to hear each other's feedback that is addition to the instructor. Do you give collegiate choice of assignments? Think about your modules within a syllabus. Are there points where differentiation can be provided through the process in which you teach your content, but also products in which students can turn in that offer opportunities where students can decide on their own from choice from the professor how to show what they know? This too is diving into what we would call empowerment learning. What does it mean to go from just syllabus or compliance learning to student engagement and finally to student empowerment in the post-secondary environment? Let's listen and take a look to answer this question.
We often talk about what it means to move from compliance to engagement. It's the idea of creating an environment where students want to learn rather than have to learn. But if we want students to be creative, self-directed learners, we need to move beyond student engagement and into empowerment. But this requires some paradigm shifts. That's right, we are going to be talking shift. Here's what I mean. The empowered classroom is a shift from giving choices to inspiring possibilities. It's a shift from making the subject interesting into tapping into the student interest. When you go from saying you must learn this to asking, what do you want to learn? It's a shift from taking assessments to assessing your own learning, an iterative process full of mistakes that ultimately lead to success. It's a shift from the teacher asking all the questions to the students asking their own questions, where they chase the inquiry process and take learning off-road. It's a shift from uncritical consuming to critical consuming and creating. Here, students move from critical consuming to inspiration to creativity, where they use the design process to launch their work to the world. It's a shift from differentiating instruction to personalizing learning. And it's a shift from rigid to adjustable systems so that students own the process. They can set their own pace, choose their own formats, and decide what resources they want to use to accomplish their goals. It's a shift in mindset from compliance to self-direction. In other words, it's a shift towards student ownership. And when that happens, our students become the creative, critical thinkers who change the world.
And so, based on what we saw from this short clip, what does it mean to go from syllabus compliance learning to student engagement, to student empowerment, where they are showing what they have learned from your course? Take 2 minutes, add to the points that you already have developed, raised in this session so far, and then we'll briefly verbalize what we have gained. to tap into someone else and discuss what you've acquired from this session in engaging post-secondary students. If you are with someone else learning asynchronously, take this time with one another and discuss what you've gained so far. Next approach. Do you ask good predetermined questions before even class begins? Closing the diversity gap is key for discussions, allowing for questions to always be open-ended and equitable to all, open to answers of varying depth and complexity. Remember, based on what they've learned from your course. But this is an opportunity for you as the instructor to fill in those misconceptions or learning gaps as you hear their learning processes as you go through the semester. Do you start your lessons with a hook? Even though we think that we're in andragogical learning, there's still some pedagogy that needs to be pushed along the way to get scholars engaged and buy in to what's being presented. Engaging students from the onset of your lesson with an introductory hook is a good approach. This could be anything that piques their interest, establishes relevance, or inspires curiosity in the subject area. For example, again, what about your anecdotal notes from past experiences on the job from you as the instructor? Brain teasers, challenge questions, historical examples, or any multimedia to make it fun while learning. Yes, even in post-secondary, fun is important. Do you incorporate technology? Technology is the lingua franca of the world. And finally, have you thought about gaming? Yes, indeed, in post-secondary. This is a powerful source of engagement. How about ladies versus gentlemen answering your content questions? What about a Jeopardy? The link is embedded. Point collectors for end of the semester, collaboration with higher percentage end results, or Wheel of Fortune, again, with content area questions. Final check-in. Summarize your notes or any points that you gained so far in this session, and then verbalize or do a reflection if you're asynchronously alone. You did it. You made it through this session. My name is Dr. Ingrid Mitchell, and this presentation, Engagement Strategies for Post-Secondary Students, was for Southwest Tennessee Community College, and I thank you for participating in this session.